How come you made it? The rest of them didn't make it. We don't know what that mystery is. Some people turned it down. Some people said it cost much. Some people said it's going to take too much time. Some people are too busy, right? A lot of different excuses why some are inspired to take advantage of something that comes to town. Others pass it up. We don't know the mystery to that. Here's what I call it: mysteries of the mind. And I just leave it at that. Some things I don't try to figure out. I take the simple approach now, right? Some people do and some people don't. I mean, that's about as profound as my philosophy is. Some buy and some don't buy. Some go for it and some don't. Some change and some don't. And if you've been around for a while, you can usually work out the numbers, right? Out of 10, 3 do, 7 don't. Whatever business you're involved in, pretty soon you got this ratio going. The ones that do, the ones that don't. You say, well, why don't the ones that don't? How come they don't? We don't know. I just leave it as a mystery. I used to try to understand all that. I just take the simple approach. The guy says, this happens to me, this happens to me, this goes wrong for me, and all this stuff goes wrong for me. How come all this stuff happens to me? I say, I don't know, it beats me. The best I've been able to figure out is those kind of things always happen to people like you. I mean, right? That's the best I got. I don't know. I'm an amateur on this stuff. What do I know? So just take the simple approach, right? That's how it is. Who knows? Interesting story says the day the Christian church was started. Now, I'm an amateur on the Bible. The best account I can remember, the day the Christian church was started, a magnificent sermon was preached. Great presentation. And if you're a student at all of good communication, it was one of the classic presentations of all time. The sermon, first day Christian church started. And it said this sermon, this presentation was given to a multitude, meaning a lot of people. But it was interesting, as the account gives us, the record, it says, when the sermon was finished, there was a variety of reaction to the same sermon. Isn't that fascinating? I find it fascinating. It said some that heard this presentation were perplexed. And I read the presentation, sounded pretty straightforward to me. Said, why would somebody be perplexed with a good, sincere, straightforward presentation? Best answer I've got. They are the perplexed. I mean, what other explanation is there? It doesn't matter who's preaching. It said some that heard this presentation mocked and laughed, made fun of the presentation. I thought, hey, this looks pretty sincere to me. If you give a sincere, honest presentation, why would somebody mock and laugh? Easy explanation. They are the mockers and the laughers. What else would you expect them to do, right? I used to try to straighten all that out. Say, well, they shouldn't do that. I don't do that anymore. I've got peace of mind now. I can sleep like a baby, not try to straighten all this stuff out. I used to be so naive. I used to say, well, liars shouldn't lie. See, how naive can you be? Of course they're supposed to lie. That's why we call them liars. They lie. They lie.
And the question is, if you die today, what dreams, what ideas, what talents, what books, what music, what leadership, what voice will die with you? Miles Monroe, great orator and speaker, said the wealthiest place on the planet, it's not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. It's not in South Africa where there are diamond mines. He said the wealthiest place on the planet is the cemetery. Because there you'll find greatness that we've never seen. There you'll find talent and genius and potential never actualized. Perhaps that's why Henry David Thoreau wrote the words, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived. Maybe that's why some unknown writer wrote the words, what if you live your whole life only to discover that it was wrong, that you were chosen to do something else and you didn't do it. Repeat after me, please. Live full, die empty. I want you to take some notes and some things, and I want you to think about your goals and dreams in the 3 categories that I mentioned: personal, professional, and your social contribution. How many of you are serious about your goals and dreams? Raise your hands, please. Thank you very much. How many of you don't want to take your dreams to your grave with you? Raise your hands, please. Very good. Shake someone's hand on your right and left. Look them in the eyes and say, get out of your head and step into your greatness. Do that right now, please. Say, get out of your head and step into your greatness. I want you to write this down. Let us say together, as you think about your goals and dreams, let us say together, it's possible together, please. Yes, write that down. See, ladies and gentlemen, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. It's my 21st year. I could have been speaking and training for 34 years. But for 14 years, I was living in my head. For 14 years, I stopped myself. For 14 years, I used to go see Zig Ziglar, that I considered the #1 motivational speaker on the planet. Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins, they're the best on the planet. Bob Proctor, they're the best on the planet. Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, T. Harv Eckert. I would go and see them, and then I would leave, and my conversation with myself was, my heart would say, I can do that. And then my mind would ask, how? How would you do that, Les Brown? I'm
really goofy dude. And if you left me to my own devices, I'd lay around watching Jerry Springer, eating Cheetos all day long. I like that. I'm lazy. People always ask my wife, what's it like to be with Mylett? He's always maxing out. She's like, it's not really that big of a deal, right? Like, he's got a lot of routines and disciplines that because I met my wife when I was 5. So I'm 50 next month. I've known her 45 years. We're sick of each other, I'm gonna be honest with you. But no, I'm kidding. She's hot as hell. If you've seen her too, you'd be like, dude, I thought you closed her when you had money. No, I closed her when I was broke. So, but let me give you an idea of who I am. Can we put that thing up on the screen? Y'all need to see something. Where's that clicker at? It's on one of these 2 tables. Well, probably I picked the wrong one. Thank you. All right, who am I really? I've always wanted to be somebody. Anybody relate to that? Say yes or no. I mean, like, I need to be somebody. I don't want to be. There's a bunch of jokers want to be somebody. I need to be somebody, right? Are you like that or not? Like, see, the separator I've always found, whether it's Brady or I've had Mickelson on my show, Tony Robbins, whoever the heck you've seen on my show before, the guy Randolph who founded Netflix, the separator's like, they need it. I need it. I needed to be somebody. I wasn't playing with my life. When I was 30 years old, I had my first heart attack. My uncle, I'm Italian, in my family, kind of your godfather's a big deal. My dad's brother died at 50 of a massive heart attack, and I look just like him. So I've always not played with my life. So I might not be the fastest, the strongest, the smartest, none of that crap, but I will outwork your ass, and I flat out want it more than you. And if you're that type of a dude, I'm going to show you how you can win. I'm going to give you some of the exact things I did. I don't care if you're 65 years old or 25 years old in this room. One of my companies, I just promoted a 74-year-old dude who's had 2 strokes, went from nothing to start with us bankrupt, making $2 million a year right now. So I don't care what your age is. But I've always wanted to be somebody. You probably heard that term, fake it till you make it. Any of you ever done that before? Okay, some of you may know this, but Lee wanted me to tell you this. I'm the ultimate fake it till you make it. When I told you where I was a goober and you see me, I just bought Larry Ellison's Global Express jet. Guy runs a little company called Oracle, 5th richest dude in the world. I own his jet now. I'm a brag. You know the reason I flew commercial here? Because I'm fixing the shower on my own jet. I just wanted to say that out loud. I got a shower on my damn jet. Right? Like, think about that crap. My wife's like, the Mile High Club. I'm like, babe, we're doing it in the shower in the Mile High Club, right? And we grew up in Pomona, California. Let me tell you something. We're not exactly hood rats, but we live right next to the hood, and I can see the rats, like that close. So we're kind of hood rats, right? So I know what that's like. My first job, I was an electrician. Then I was a busboy at the Whole Enchilada. That was an upgrade because they let me go as an electrician because I couldn't show up to work and get there by 6 a.m. And then I was a bag boy at Safeway. And then I worked at an orphanage that changed my life. And then I became in the financial business and got wealthy. There's nothing about me.
You know, Bishop Jakes told me one time, when you got favor on your life, no matter what you're thrown into, you're going to always rise to the top. I have been thrown into a lot, but because of favor and grace, I just keep showing up. Somehow, man, no matter what they do. And so all of this that I have is really because of the grace of God. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You got to have a tremendous work ethic to be successful in here. In other words, and you can relate to this, you got to have a lot of dog in it. You really do, man, if you want to be successful, because it's going to be a lot of trying times. So you have to have a tremendous work ethic. But you got to have faith. Faith without works is dead. You hear it all the time. You go to church and you learn all these scriptures, but then you don't apply none of them to your life. You're looking at a man who has made the simple application of 3 or 4 scriptures and maxed them out to get here. I maxed out 3, 4 scriptures to get here. I kid you not. I'll share them with you if you want to hear about them, but I maxed out 3, 4 scriptures to get here. I'd love to tell you I'm the funniest person ever lived, but I ain't. Richard Pryor got that. I'd love to tell you I'm the greatest entertainer, but I ain't. Michael Jackson was that. I got all that, but they gone. So I probably am. But listen, man, this that I'm about to share with you, and I understand I'll only be doing this for a little bit, and then we're going to open up the floor for questions. And I like doing Q&As because it helps me target specifically what a person is hoping to hear. But I got to tell you something. If you could get a couple of things from me, if you could gather this piece of information. Albert Einstein said once, he said, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. Now, I want you to get this now. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. Because if you think about it, everything you have, everything we have in this world, somebody imagined it. It's your imagination is tremendous. Somebody was sitting on the phone one day talking with a cord to the wall and said, man, I wish I could just go outside with this phone. Everybody in here got a cell phone. Somebody imagined that. Somebody got tired of riding in a wagon cross country from slavery to freedom. Somebody said, I wish we had something that made these wheels move by themselves. We drive cars. People got tired of driving from New York to LA. Somebody said, I wish we could fly. We got airplanes. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Your real life, the one God really got for you, is in your imagination.
Enjoy that part of your life. Fashion it and enjoy it. Take an hour, take a couple of hours, take an evening, and go soak up the symphony, soak up the music. And when you do this, with family, with culture, lifestyle, here's what happens. Number one, you can enjoy it. It's a spendable commodity. But here's the most exciting part of all. The feelings you get from here, the coin, the currency, the worth and the value you get from fashioning a happy life, fashioning a conversation with a child, fashioning a love experience. A good marriage is not a marriage that's left to the wind. It must be well woven. A friendship must be well constructed. A cultured life must be well woven, well constructed. A love affair must be well woven. I'm telling you, all of these values that come from lifestyle, and nobody can engage in the art of lifestyle better than Herbalife distributors, Mark Hughes being one of the best. Better to live in a tent on the beach, be in love, than to live in a mansion by yourself. But now here's the last part. This is the most exciting. Not only can a well-fashioned lifestyle experience be enjoyed, here's the powerful part. It can be invested. It can be invested. Because here's what really happens. You take lifestyle, all those values, all the coin, all the currency of lifestyle, and you invest it. This feeling here helps you to now, drives you to do the better study. Why? This whole cycle keeps coming around. Philosophy, attitude, disciplines create lifestyle. Lifestyle inspires you to go back, develop an even better philosophy, stronger attitude, more detailed disciplines. All of that helps you to produce lifestyle. And if you fashion this well, love affair, marriage, culture, evening, weekend, all of this good stuff now, that inspires you now to read, study and grow, develop your philosophy, strengthen your attitude, pick up the disciplines. This whole cycle, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it once you understand how to live this way.
You know, bad times. But I don't have bad days anymore, and it's not BS. It's because I've trained myself like an athlete to go in these peak states so often that they're just natural for me. It's like building a muscle. So it's not like I'm so smart or I'm just so positive. It's just like, why would I waste my time stressing out? I have a 90-second rule. I'll stress for 90 seconds, but stress is not going to solve it. Let me put myself back in a different state. And so the way I do that is I use my body. Because I've done this with athletes for decades, with billionaire businessmen. If you see somebody gets in a slump of some sort, great athlete, Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest financial traders in the history of the world, you know, I've coached him for 22 years. When I came to see him, this is a man who made 200% in 1987 when the stock market had its biggest single crash in the day, percentage-wise still. He made 200% for his clients, more money than anybody could dream of. Then he went to the moon and he went down to earth and then he lost money. So I was brought in to turn him around. Well, how do you turn a guy like that around? Yeah. I watched him. His shoulders were down. He was breathing like this. He's sitting like this the whole time because he'd been through these failures and it started to get stored in his body. Now, in this state, this man is a genius, couldn't do it. So I watched films when he was at his best. And he's like standing up and he's doing this. This is what I do. Sell this, make this happen. And the movement, the intensity, the way he used his face. And so I showed him a video of himself today. I showed him a video when he was at his best. And I said, what do you notice? He was like, those are two different people. I said, yes. But we can get back to this guy by just using the body first. Trying to use your mind, you'll go in circles. But I've been teaching for years that a radical change in your body instantly changes your biochemistry. 38 years I've taught it. 2 years ago at Harvard, they did a study, scientifically proven what I've been teaching all these decades, where they call it power postures.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman stance.
Yeah, standing like Wonder Woman or Superman for 2 minutes.
Yep.
Or like you see guys like this, pulled back like that for 2 minutes. Literally increases your testosterone in your biochemistry within 2 minutes by 20%. It drops cortisol by 18%, which is the stress hormone, and increases your chance of taking a more risky behavior, which is what's required of a leader, by 33%. 2 minutes. Now that's just standing a certain way. I show people use their voice, their body, their movement, which is 10 times more dynamic than just a stiff stance. And when you change your state, your mental emotional state, you change your performance. Haven't you had times when you have can't remember how to spell a difficult word like the or your own email
really
or something
tired,
like that?
Can't remember
like what
your
it is.
cousin's name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've had times where you're in the flow where after you do something you're like, I did that. I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Absolutely.
I was in the flow. Well, you're the same person. The only difference is state. So training yourself to be in a peak state every day. I mean, you think about a great businessman. Think of a great entertainer like Elton John has been around in rock and roll for what, 40? How many years is it? 40 years?
70s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's mind-boggling, and most people still like some sample of his music. Well, he's got to have days when he gets up to entertain when he thinks, if you make me sing that Daniel song one more time, I'm going postal, right? But he never does. Every single time he's in that same beautiful state. That's not because he's naturally like that. He's trained himself to do that. Like a great athlete trains himself. That's what leaders have to do. The state of the union, the state of the company is the culture. And the culture starts at the head. Whoever that leader is, their state impacts everybody else. So training yourself to be in that peak state is the key to it all. I think ferocity of spirit is critical for everybody, but we all have it. It's like a muscle.
Do we all have it?
Yeah, we do. Courage unused, though, becomes weaker. Determination unused gets smaller. Passion unexpressed gets smaller. It's like any muscle, the more you use it. And he's been using it for years. His son, though, here's the other thing. He had a reason larger than himself. You see the pattern in all the people that have overcome. He wanted to do for his son. At the time, he told me about his worried about all his employees, and he really cares about his people. But here's the secret, though. You have to make that shift where it's no longer an excuse. If you give yourself an excuse, humans will take it. If you're going to take the island, you burn the boats. And he burned the boats and said, I'm going to find the answer. First, he shifted his psychology, came to my business mastery program, and then he got the skills. Because like I said earlier, it's not just confidence. You got to have skill, and he had both, and he found the way. Show them what you did.
Yeah, after that particular business mastery program, again, as Tony says, 80% of it is psychology, and then 20% of it is mechanics or the strategies. Yeah. But unless you get the psychology down, the mechanics don't matter. And I can tell you from that day in November of 2008 where I made that decision that I was not going to fail, and I kissed my lady and said, I'm going back to work. And we went out there and I learned how to export. And when there was no market for steel in the United States, I was able to export to several different companies or several different countries. And we took off from there. We continued to grow. And it was just, again, it's about a mindset. It's about having a level of pride. For me, it was coming from where I come from. The Mylett name didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. And I was determined to change that because it's something of what I call generational influence. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for my son.
The other thing you should do if you're not very industrious is discipline yourself. And so what do you do with that? Eat 3 times a day at regular meal times. That's a good thing to practice because that starts to put some stability into your life. Get up at the same time. I would highly recommend all those young people out there who are listening, you want to get a jump on life, get the hell out of bed in the morning. As I've got older, I've got up earlier and earlier. Now, that's partly because you don't need as much sleep, but it's also partly because I've got more and more disciplined. Get up early in the morning and get your things done. Man, learn to get up at 6 in the morning and you'll be one deadly creature, especially if you can get to work. You'll have half your damn day done by the time other people haul their sorry asses out of bed.
How many of you feel like your mind is always on? Like you're worrying about the past or you're anxious about the future? How many of you feel like your mind controls you? If you said yes to any of those questions, I want you to stay tuned as I share this concept from my book, Think Like a Monk. Hey everyone, my name is Jay Shetty and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now I know you've experienced this. You wake up in the morning, ready to start the day early, but your mind makes you press that snooze button. You decide you're going to be really, really healthy, but your mind makes you break that promise and then makes you feel guilty for it afterwards. Or the best yet, your mind has focused on preparing for this interview, but reminds you of all of your flaws, mistakes, and rejections just before you walk inside. How many of you have experienced any of these things before? So let me tell you a personal story. I remember once trying to give up chocolate fudge cake. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but for those of you who know me well, you know that I have a massive sweet tooth and I absolutely love chocolate cake. So this was already going to be difficult. But now, as soon as I'd made that commitment, Every time I walked past a bakery or a cake shop, I literally felt like that cake was staring at me, and there was a voice in my head that said, buy me now, eat me. I mean, I know I sound psycho right now, but it's true, right? We have that feeling as soon as you make that commitment to yourself that you're going to have a healthy diet, you're going to start working out, whatever it may be, we're triggered almost in the opposite direction by our own mind. How does that happen? Why does it happen? And how do we overcome it is what I want to share with you today. To explain this, we first have to understand the difference between the monkey mind, which we're talking about right now, and the monk mind. So the monkey mind is always jumping from branch to branch. It's always looking for the next pleasure or that instant gratification. It's always looking for the short-term win. It's the part of us that complains, compares, and criticizes. But the monk mind is focused on the root of the issue. The monk mind is focused on discipline and long-term gain. Instead of being comparing, complaining, and criticizing, the monk mind is calm, composed, collaborative, caring, and compassionate. So if we want to make that transformation and that switch, we have to understand how the mind works. And I'm going to show you how the Bhagavad Gita talks about this conversation that we all experience in our minds between the mind and the intelligence. Now, how many times have you ever woke up in the morning and had that conversation in your head? There's one voice that says, go back to sleep. You've had a really tough week. You've been working so hard. And there's another voice that says, this is going to be the start of a great week. You've had enough rest. Now's the time to get up and you're going to perform at the highest level. This is a conversation between the mind and the intelligence. The mind is the monkey mind. The intelligence is the monk mind. The monkey mind just wants to sleep, be lazy, lethargic, and not focus on getting proper rest. You probably were forced by that monkey mind to stay up the night before and watch a show till 2 a.m. anyway. The monk mind wants you to have a proactive start to the day, proactive start to the week. So here's what's happening. We have 5 senses: sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. Now, all of these have different triggers. So if we think about food, you see good food, right? Or let's say you see junk food, you smell that junk food, you know what that junk food tastes like. You don't hear junk food, I don't think, anyway. And as soon as that happens, there's a response that goes straight to your mind. Now, what happens in your mind, and as you can see, this is a very accurate drawing of what your mind really looks like inside. But this area of your mind, it reminds you of your past experiences you've had. So when you see those fries, you smell those fries, you see those fries, you touch those fries, it sends a response to your mind. Your mind knows what those fries taste like. It remembers the last time you had them and how good they felt, and straight away goes, yeah, let's have them. And so the mind goes, sure, let's go and plan and create, and now we have those. Now we start to eat that. And that is a recurring habit and cycle in our life. It happens from everything from food that's bad for us to toxic relationships through to making bad career decisions. The simple act of reminding ourselves of a positive experience with someone or something allows us to continue that repetition. But now we all know this. We all know that discipline is a core pillar in success. We all know that being able to resist the urges of the mind can help us be more focused.
There's a war going on. Good versus evil. Light against darkness. Truth against lies. I'm talking about the war in your head.
There's enough in my past to be ashamed of. Some decisions I wish I hadn't made. Some stuff I wish I could go back and fix. Some things I wish I could unsay. Some words I wish I could put back in my mouth. Some actions I wish I had never taken, but they're in my past. And I'm not going to let you hold up my past as a mirror when God wants me to use it as a window.
When the enemy puts you under pressure, he thinks that's going to stop you. What he doesn't realize is all that's going to do is cause you to shoot out further. When you feel restricted, don't be discouraged. Get ready to shoot out. Get ready for new levels. That pressure is not going to stop you. It's going to increase you.
My past is not to be held up
as a mirror to remind me of what I used to be, but it's a window for me to look back through and say, I ain't going back that way no more.
Whatever you repeat, you reinforce. Maybe you're in a situation right now, you're like, I hate where I am. The problem in my life is where I am. I hate my relationships. I hate the way I feel. I hate where I am. And what begins to happen to us is we start to think the problem is where we are. But your problem is not where you are. Your problem is where are you headed?
The truth is, we grow in the difficult times. That's when our character is developed. That's when we discover talent, confidence, courage that we didn't even know we had.
Trying to encourage you tonight that every gap in my life is giving me hope that I am still becoming, that I am not done growing yet, that the story is not over. Anybody thankful that you haven't stopped growing? But this year, it doesn't have to look like last year. You can become more.
But you have to do something important. Forgive yourself. Quit dwelling on everything you've done wrong. Quit replaying your failures. Quit reliving your mistakes.
Devote yourself to something bigger. Be decisive about what you're going to do. Say, I'm going to do it, and that's it. And then be disciplined about getting it done every single day, whether you feel like it or not.
It works if you work it. Decide that you're going to start working on that dream. Now, there will be people that will criticize you. There will be people that won't see it for you. But I say to you, don't let them turn you around. Don't let nobody turn you around. That's key, because people will try and turn you around. That's real.
Every hero you guys had was called an idiot, crazy, a loser. You must break society's status quo. Status quo is normality. It's alive but not living. It's death on a stick, guys. The belief of the individual can overcome thousands of followers. One person with a belief overrides thousands of people with just intent.
Can actually change the direction of your life. Life is not designed where you just wake up and see how it go and you react. You actually have a say-so. You have a determining voice into where your life can go. See, life is 10% what happens to you. It's 90% what you do about it. See, you get tripped out because you got dirt on you. But you need dirt on you to develop, because dirt ain't just dirt. Dirt is fertilizer. Dirt gives you the strength for your seed to push through. See, you got to have dirt on you to push through something.
Safety, comfort zones are dead zones because your true potential will never be matched, guys.
See, you get mad when haters come your way. You get mad because you get a setback. You get mad because you get a detour. That's just dirt. You get mad because they talking about you. That's dirt. You got to have dirt on you to grow into what God got for you. Quit tripping.
Every day is a new day, a new week, a new shot at life. An opportunity to come out of the gate like a man possessed and attack the day without mercy. Today, I'm taking scalps. I'm putting the pressure on. I am the aggressor. I am on the attack. Because I will not stop.
Where the mind goes, the man follows. If you don't like your life, go home, have a meeting with yourself, and think about what you have been thinking about. Instead of blaming it on everything else, have a meeting with yourself and just ask yourself if it's time for you to get rid of your stinking thinking. Amen.
Life goes on. You have to keep living. Life goes on. I've watched people allow a failure in their life, then produce fear in them. Fear is not just an emotion. Fear is a spirit. When a person has a spirit of fear, they're scared of everything. They're scared of the dark. They're scared to be alone. They just have unreasonable, ungrounded fears. That spirit of fear will paralyze your life. It'll stop your movement, and you're designed to keep it moving.
Be ready for tomorrow by doing all that you can today. Set a goal that will make you stretch for what it will make of you to achieve it. What an all-encompassing challenge to have a better vision of the future, to see what it will make of you to achieve it. The greatest value in life is not what you get. The greatest value in life is what you become. It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become that makes you valuable. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. So there you have the two components of positive self-direction. Self-knowledge, knowing who you are and what you want to do with your life. And number two, self-preparation, getting ready for the opportunities before they come your way. Being ready, being worthy, becoming the person you need to be in pursuit of what you want.
Do as much planning as you can. Dig in and plan every detail that you can plan. The most important part of a plan, the thing that makes a plan the most effective, is its flexibility. And making a plan that is so flexible that when you do the actual operation and you come up against unexpected things, which are absolutely going to happen, you have the flexibility, you have options, you have contingency plans to deal with.
Most people, in order to feel significant, make things really complex so they feel like they're really unique and special. But complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complex you make it, the more likely you are not going to follow through.
So plan as much as you can, but the problem is, with all that emphasis on planning, sometimes people become obsessed with planning and they don't want to execute. And if they do execute, they execute late. They miss their opportunity. That's why Patton said a good plan, violently executed now, is better than a perfect plan executed next week. Come up with a good plan. Don't come up with a perfect plan that takes you 2 weeks to come up with. That's not going to help you.
It's you first. It starts with you, and it starts with your psychology. 80% of growing a business, if you look at what the chokehold is on a business, it's always the leader. And 80% of that chokehold is the psychology, and 20% is the mechanics. I mean, people in this room know the mechanics and strategies beyond what anybody on earth knows in their category. So it's really about you being in the state where you execute. Execution trumps knowledge every day of the week. And so my life is, how do you get yourself to execute? And execution comes from learning to put yourself in that right state every day.
Where you have so much joy, you bring joy everywhere you go. You have so many resources that you can help those around you. You may not have seen this yet, but God is about to do a new thing. You need to get ready. Overflow is coming. You're going to overflow with creativity, with ideas, with talent. Overflow with influence, promotion, resources, where you can come out of debt, where you can lend and not have to borrow. Things may not be flowing in your life right now, but God knows where all the treasures are. He knows how to put you at the right place at the right time. He knows not only what you need, but He knows when you're going to need it. Don't discount small opportunities, small gifts, small income. May seem small to you, but God knows how to multiply.
So if you can't control something and you can't get control of it, you have to at least embrace what you can. There's only so much you can do, and you cannot completely eliminate it. But you can't control it, so why are you going to worry about it? Why are you going to stress about it? If there's something that's completely beyond your control, you've got to detach from it and not let yourself get stressed about it.
Dreams without goals remain dreams, just dreams, and ultimately fuel disappointment. Dreams without goals, yearly goals, life goals, daily goals, monthly goals, hourly goals. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline, and consistency. You understand?
Someone's gonna get the candy in life. There's always candy in life. That piñata eventually always breaks down. Do you want to be the person who was there in the beginning, hitting as hard as you could and sacrificing and never get the candy? Or are you going to get something for your pain? Are you going to get something for your effort? Are you going to get something for this sacrifice you're making? You got to get something for this pain. You got to stick in the game until the candy comes out, and then we all get to celebrate. I promise you there's going to be a payoff for you.
The big challenge is to make something out of each opportunity. Now, if winters are always going to occur in our life, shouldn't we benefit from them too? Come the next winter, you could be on the inside looking out, seated by a warm fire, the company of a good friend, and those unique feelings of security in spite of the circumstances or the season.
What force has the greatest influence on us? It is the freedom to choose.
What changes our whole life is action. Why don't we take action? Fear. What do we got to do to get ourselves to do it? We got to make sure that we push ourselves through it by making a decision. The point in which change happens is a decision. People go, what does it take to change? Decide. You go, oh, God, sounds so simple. So basically, it was that easy, you'd already done it, Mr. Robbins. No, it is that easy, and you're still not doing it because you are not putting yourself in a state to decide. See, a real decision is not like a preference. It's not like where you say, I'll try it and see. That's not a decision. Decision comes from Latin. It means like incision, to cut off from. Decision is when you cut off any possibility except the thing you committed to. It's like that is it. All change happens with a choice. You want to change your body? Change it by making a decision. I know it sounds overly simplistic. I know it's 100 times harder than that, but that's where it happens. People shit all over themselves. I should fall through. I should spend time with my kids. I should do this thing at work. Shooting doesn't change it. When it's a must, human beings find the way. It's a must when you say, I'm burning the boats. I'm talking about a real decision where you will not go back. You want to take the island? Burn the frickin' boats.
You have to be honest with yourself and truthful with yourself. And I think a lot of times what it is for me, I was expecting things from people that I wasn't giving to people. And so that's very selfish, you know? So I had to look at myself and say, you know what, this part of my personality needs to be changed, it needs to be fixed. So it's that reality that you have to have with yourself and that truthfulness, and not knowing that it doesn't make you weak by admitting these things. It doesn't make you less by admitting these things.
Credit goes to our awesome patrons who make videos like this one possible. Consider joining them to support our work. You can also support us by subscribing to our channel and clicking the bell button to get notified when our new videos are released. And as always, thank you for watching.